Hi, my name is Mayhemstar, and welcome back to Girlfriend Simulator. Thoughts like this swirl through my head as I stand there in the threshold of my door, looking out into the hall. The hallway is dark save for the strip lighting on the ceiling. These lights flicker ominously on and off. I can't see any windows. I don't know what the outside looks like. It's just one long, endless hallway, beige walls and a brown floor. Fluorescent lights. The lights are too bright, my eyes are starting to hurt. My head hurts too. Retreating would be much easier, but I know if I did that, I would never be able to forgive myself. I squeeze my eyes shut in an attempt to steady myself. I inhale. Then I step into the hallway. 79. The door of my apartment swings shut behind me with a dull thud, one that seems almost apocryphal. Apocryphal? Wow. There'll be no turning back now. I pad down the hallway slowly, softly, with my footsteps shy and shuffling. I'm grimly aware, with every step I take, that Nagi might return, might catch me trying to abscond. I look around anxiously as I walk. Doors pass me by. Door after door after door, but they're all shut. The handles affixed to these doors look oddly sinister in the dark, in the lights which keep guttering on and off. They protrude from the smooth wooden surfaces of doors like something violent. The light catches on these door handles, dozens and dozens of them, stretching on for infinity, and I shiver. It feels like the hallway is choking me. Where are the stairs? How am I going to escape? 81. Maybe I was a fool to disobey Nagi. I shouldn't have ignored her. She told me to stay inside for a reason. Now I'm starting to think that maybe this was the reason. She told me not to leave because I can't leave. It isn't an option. I want to turn back, but I don't. Instead I continue to walk. 83. I walk and I walk and I walk until the backs of my feet rub against my shoes and it starts to hurt. My heart is hammering in my chest. I can hear it reverberating inside my skull. That doesn't stop me from moving though. I keep on walking. I walk and 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 the backs of my feet are still rubbing against my shoes. It still hurts. My heart is hammering in my chest. I can hear it reverberating inside my skull. That doesn't stop me from moving though. I continue to walk. Aha! It loops. Walk and walk and walk and walk. Backs of my feet are really rubbing against my shoes now. We're at 85. It hurts a lot. My heart is hammering in my chest, reverberating inside my skull. I don't stop though. Continue to walk. Continue to walk, 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 walk. And we're still walking until... dots! Exclamation mark. I reach what seems to be a bend in the hallway. There's something different at long last. I must be making progress. I hurry onward, hoping to find the stairs, to find the lift, to find something to help me escape from this nightmare. But like all nightmares, my attempts of escape are soon halted. I suppose I should have expected it. I think part of me did. I was just waiting for it. She is here. She has come to greet me. And we have no longer got an unease bar. Time to 1v1 this motherfucker. Let's do it! Her irises are cold and hard like two stones pressed into her skin, and her lips are pursed into a line which betrays not even the slightest flicker of emotion. In one hand she's holding a shopping basket, a cheap plastic thing from which the Y-shaped head of a green onion protrudes. She's Hatsune Miku, and she knows it. It's such a cliche, I could laugh. Nagi. I inhale. What are you? What are you doing here might be more of an apt question, but it'll be the pointless one. I know what she's doing here. She's come to stop me from leaving. As for what her motives are, however, you have to ask. Nagi's voice, when it comes, is every bit as cold and hard as her expression, devoid of the cherry lilt to which I've grown so accustomed. I'm your girlfriend, Ayumu. I love you more than anybody else in the whole world. But right now, I think I hate you more than anybody else in the whole world too. Nagi delivers this without any emotion whatsoever. Her love and her hate are wholly dispassionate. She might as well be talking about the weather. You shouldn't be out here. I told you not to leave. I made you promise. You said you would stay put. Why didn't you? Do you want to upset me? No, that isn't. Then what is it? There wasn't any particular reason, really. I just wanted some fresh air. It's an excuse, of course, and a blatantly obvious one at that. It's almost laughable, in fact, given how dark and featureless this hallway is, how utterly devoid of windows. This is a place that seems sealed off from the outside world. There's no fresh air to be had here. It's all shut up and stagnant. What a fool I am. Nagi takes a step forward. Her hair shifts about her shoulders. Her eyes bore into mine as quietly. She says, I don't believe you. Nagi, please. I think you're lying to me, and that is one thing I simply cannot forgive. You've upset me, Ayumu. You've been a very, very bad boy. And bad boys deserve to be punished. Nagi, wait. Can't we talk about this? I cry at Nagi, but to little avail. I don't think she's listening to me anymore. If she ever was. Did she ever care what I wanted? And the music cut out. Very interesting. Nagi's face is mask-like. Her eyes are blank and staring. 2 cutouts in her white, featureless face. Oh no, it's restarting. The music, I mean. Her grip on the carrier bag slackens. The bag hits the floor with a dull, almost anticlimactic thud, and then she steps towards me. You promised me you wouldn't leave, Ayumu. You promised. How could you lie to a cute girl like me? How could you? Nagi. I say her name, but it feels like a pointless gesture. I don't think she can be reasoned with. Discourse was never an option. I have no choice, really, but to run. I don't know what it is exactly that Nagi means to do to me, but I don't want to stay and find out. It's with a desperate gasp that I turn on my heels, almost stumbling in the process. Nagi isn't moving very quickly, but she's almost upon me already. How's that possible? Everything seems to be possible here. Reality is contradicting about itself. It's compressing. My world is shrinking. My world is this apartment, and the apartment's under Nagi's control. Does that make Nagi the world? The world, though. Stop platinum. No, I'm not gonna do it. What am I then? Then can I really escape from her? I don't know, but I have to try. I run through hallway after hallway, pain knifing between my ribs all the while. The walls around me are morphing, they're melting. Wallpaper flakes off in strips around me, as though the apartment is peeling itself like a giant apple. The light fixtures above me blink, they gutter. The world is plunged into darkness before illuminating itself brightly. Too brightly. I blink. White spots burst in front of my vision like fungi. The hallway is undiluting. The world is pulsating. It changes so much with every single step. I feel dizzy. It's hard to maintain my balance, especially with Nagi pursuing me. Is she gaining on me? I swear I can feel a breath upon my back. Upon the back of my neck, but I know I can't stop to check. I can't turn around. I dash through the beige hallways and blue hallways, garnished orange hallways and high ceiling hallways. The hallways are all devoid of windows. They twist and they turn like plastered paper painted rabbit warrens. I can't hear much beyond the sounds of my own footsteps, beyond my own heart beating. There's a faint sound in the background like running water, and an omniscient, ever-present hum. Flies? My kitchen was full of them. They hovered about the black rubbish bags which lay decaying upon the floor. I didn't bother to throw the bags away. I didn't try to get rid of the flies. It felt like a pointless endeavor. I endured them instead. I've been enduring a lot recently, but I can't keep doing that. I need to escape. Ha ha ha. I've no idea how long I've been running. These hallways seem to stretch on forever. I can't make any sense out of them. My mind seems to have shrunken during my desperate flight, the size of a walnut. I can't fit any thoughts into my head. They're leaking out of me. I'm coming undone. Still, Nagi continues to pursue me. I don't think she'll ever stop. It doesn't matter how fast I run, she'll find me again. Why wouldn't she? She's my girlfriend after all. She loves me. But why? It's with this question in my mind that I finally escaped from the maze of hallways which trapped me among them. I descended a flight of stairs, the soles of my shoes slapping against every step, then emerged into a large empty space with beige walls and a carpeted floor. I recognize this room. I do? This is the entrance of my apartment building. I need only approach those glass doors at the end and I'll be able to escape. That is my plan at least. But my jubilation soon runs dry when I approach the exit. The doors are glass and should therefore be transparent, but I can't see anything beyond them. I can't see the street. I can't see the road. I can't even see the sky. Where did the rest of the world go? I approach the doors. They ought to be automatic, but they don't move. Instead, they remain stubbornly shut. Well, shit. So much for that plan. Hey, Ayumu. I can hear Nagi's footsteps behind me descending the stairs. Her pace is as slow as ever and unhurried. Now I know why she didn't even bother running. She knew I wouldn't be able to escape from her. She knew there was nowhere for me to go. What do you think you're doing? Did I tell you it was pointless? I opened my mouth, but I can't say much more than that. My saliva tastes like ashes on my tongue, and my stomach churns. You don't need to reply to me, don't bother. I don't want to hear any more of your lies. Nagi continues to advance on me, her arm swinging limply beside her. It hurts me, you know, when you run away from me like this. Can't you understand that? Thud, thud, thud go Nagi's footsteps. Even they sound unforgiving. She's relentless. Let's stop playing silly games. Come back upstairs with me. Let me put you to bed. What were you hoping to run? What were you hoping to gain anyway by coming down here? Didn't you give up on the outside world already? You must have, otherwise you never would have been able to meet me. It's all in his head. Dots! Exclamation mark. Something about what Nagi just said strikes a chord within me. I feel like I've been drifting ever since I woke up, but something has clicked into place. I can remember what happened. First there was the pain. When it hit me, it was intense. So much so I felt like vomiting. For a while, pain was all I knew. It was all my body was. There was a loud squeal of tires on tarmac and the pitter-patter of rain which fell on the damp, glossy road. The smell of the oil in the air, and prismatic colors reflected on the puddles scattered about me. There was blood, too, an awful lot of it. I hadn't known I had quite so much blood inside of me. My temple was cut, my body was crumpled, I could barely breathe. I didn't want to breathe. People around me shouting and screaming, "Oh, you were hit by a car." Pedestrians clustered about me, stepping through puddles, splashing icy droplets of water about in their wake. Somebody probably called an ambulance. I don't remember that though. This is where everything starts to get hazy. My consciousness begins to unravel. Then I pass out. When I finally woke up, hours or days or weeks or months or centuries later, I was here. In this facsimile? Whatever. I was here in this facsimile of my apartment, with Nagi sitting next to me. She said she was my girlfriend. I doubt that though. I've never had a girlfriend before, and now I'll never get the chance. I was hit by a car. I should be dead. What's going on? You can't handle the real world, Ayumu. It was too much for you. There was a lot of pressure on you to perform, from your parents, and from your professors, and from yourself, and it all became too much. You're delicate, so you got scared. You were afraid you would break, so you decided to run away from it all. No. Yes, you did. You know you did. You know what you are. Nagi takes another step forward until her nose is almost brushing against mine. She reaches out. You're a coward. Then her white slender fingers seize my neck. Ugh. Reality distorts the moment she touches me. Static hums inside my skull. My head feels like it's gonna split apart. My body, sapped of all energy, lists to one side. My head hits the carpeted floor with a thud, just like it did on the roadside, and stars explode behind my eyelids. I blink. Pull that. Pull the scissors. Do it. I don't know how much time has passed, but when I finally came to, I see that Nagi is sitting on top of me. Pull those scissors. She's pinning me in place against the threadbare carpet, her thighs cinching my body in place upon the floor. The fingers of both her hands are wound about my throat, and her eyes are trained upon mine. The grasp she has on my neck is painful, but I think the soulless, empty look in those wide, tunnel-like eyes of hers is even more so. I can't writhe away from her. I can't escape from her. She has me immobilized so effectively she might as well have driven nails into my palms. and crucified me. Just give it up, Ayumu. Nagi speaks calmly despite the violence of her actions. She sounds hollow, empty. People like you can't survive in the real world. You weren't made for it. You're too sensitive. Every failure felt like a knife to your throat, and every single setback made you want to cry. Nagi's fingernails bites into my skin. It hurts. You kept picking yourself up as the best you could, but eventually enough was enough. You're weak, like I said, so your enough came before most people's would. You couldn't keep going. Nagi's eyes are so big, I feel like I could drown in them. But there's no shame in that. You already recognize your limitations. That's why you did what you did. I don't need to tell you about your failures. Oh, he committed the big S. You know about them already. Nagi. Nagi's long, fair hair is brushing my cheek. It tickles. Why are you doing this? You should know that already. My answer's the same as it's always been. I'm doing this for your sake. Mine? Yes, yours. I think you'll be happier this way. And deep down, I know that you think the same. Otherwise, you never would have stepped out into that busy road. Isn't this what you wanted? Is it what I wanted? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't think I want to remember. My thoughts are all a blur, but... Nagi's words have jostled something in my memory. She said I walked into the road. It can't have been an accident then. It was something I did on purpose, and that isn't something a happy, well-adjusted person does. I haven't been happy or well-adjusted in a long, long time. I was trying to forget about that. I wanted to forget about it, but... Gah. It's all coming back to me. I can remember what I did. I remember who I am. I'm Satu Ayumu, a second-year student at a small, relatively unimpressive university in Tokyo. I've always been quiet, so I've never been very good at making friends. I didn't have any friends, in fact, at university. My first year was lonely, but I attended my lectures. I still got my essays done and I completed my end-of-year exams. I did what was expected of me, and when my parents called me, which they often did, to check up on me, I told them everything was fine. I said I'd been having fun. That was a lie. I was tired and stressed and overwhelmed, more often than not, and I was sad with it, because nobody else seemed to be enjoying themselves. But everybody else seemed to be enjoying themselves, but I wasn't. I didn't know how to enjoy myself. It was part way into my second year that I gave up on everything. Going to my lectures stopped feeling like a worthwhile endeavor. It didn't make me happy. I don't think anything could have cheered me up beyond human interaction, but that was impossible. I was too awkward. I didn't know what to do, so I retreated in on myself. I shut myself away inside my apartment because that was easier than going outdoors. It was easier than making an effort to change. I didn't take out the rubbish, so it overflowed. I didn't clean up my apartment, and so it started to stink. I opened the windows during the summer. When it was so hot and muggy, I felt like I was melting simply lying down in my bed, but that let the flies in. I rarely brushed my teeth, barely showered, and hardly ever changed my clothes. There wasn't anything I wanted to do, so I didn't do anything. It became a hikikomori. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't speak to anybody. I just lay in bed for days on end, scrolling through the internet on my phone or on my laptop and reading through some of my favorite light novel series. I had no plans, obligations, or responsibilities. This absence of external stimuli should have cheered me up, and for a few days it did. The knot of anxiety which had been my near-constant companion throughout my time at university began to lessen. Finally, it felt, for the first time in a long time, I could breathe. But the air, when I breathed it in, stank of rancid food and my unwashed body. My eyes began to sting, and my head pounded. I got headaches all the time back then. Maybe it was because of the smell. It was putrid. I'm surprised the people living in the apartment across the hall didn't complain about me. In time, my abundance of time began to feel more like a curse than a blessing. There were too many hours in the day and I didn't know how to fill them. Without lectures or essays to worry about, I had no idea what I was supposed to do with myself, until I reread Tsuchimi Rui's Elf Forest. That was when I hit upon the idea of writing a story of my own. A story set in a fantasy universe bearing some similarities to Elf Forest, but of my own devising. I've had the idea of Crimson Fantasia for a while. I toyed with the idea of writing it, but always managed to talk myself out of it. I thought it'd be a repeat of my time spent trying to blend in with everybody else at university, that my best efforts would all be in vain. Nobody cared about me during the day-to-day in the real world. Why would anybody care about my stories either? Telling it seemed pointless, but I had so much time I had to do something with it. I suppose that's why I started to write Crimson Fantasia. I didn't have anything better to do. I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, like a man possessed, and I soon realized once I began that writing was a pretty fun way to while away the hours. It made the days pass by more quickly and it gave me a real sense of purpose. I'd hammered out most of the details about Crimson Fantasia's plot and characters already, so I didn't hit any major stumbling blocks. I didn't have to scramble to think up ideas and didn't have to sit there agonizing while I wondered where the story would go. I already knew most of that. I just needed to get the story out of my head and onto the laptop, in a format other people could experience. I wanted other people to experience Crimson Fantasia too. I put enough effort into it, so much so keeping it to myself would seem like a waste. I repurposed this old blog I had ages ago, back during high school, into a place to upload Crimson Fantasia. I uploaded my story chapter by chapter, sometimes updating thrice weekly, and I waited, my breath bated, to see what sort of responses I'd get. I wasn't expecting miracles, of course. I didn't genuinely think, despite my daydreams, that Crimson Fantasia would attain the same level of critical and commercial success as Elf Forest. Who was I in comparison to Tsuchimi Rui? Nobody really. I was just a university dropout with an overactive imagination. I told myself when I first began to share Crimson Fantasia that I'd be happy if only 1 or 2 people read it. They didn't even need to leave any comments on it. I just wanted to know that my story was out there in the world, that a few people knew it existed and liked it. That would legitimize my efforts. It would prove that writing it wasn't a waste of time after all. My desires were fairly humble, or so I thought, and within the first few days of posting Crimson Fantasia's first chapter to my old blog, they were actually exceeded. Crimson Fantasia's first chapter was viewed 42 times and it received comments, 3 of them in fact. I can't remember 2 of those 3 comments. They were vague words of support, very brief and perfunctory, but I remember the 3rd. You'll never forget it. It was the first comment I ever received from Nagiko. Nagiko. Her feedback. I've always thought of Nagiko as a girl, was far more in-depth than that which the other 2 commenters had left. She typed up several paragraphs exploring her feelings towards the story, its setting and its characters. She praised the oppressive atmosphere of the story and how much detail I had gone into when rendering Haru's personality. Nagiko said she thought Haru was a pitiable sort of character, but she found him compelling. She promised me she would be waiting for the future chapters eagerly because she couldn't wait to see how Haru would develop. She wanted him to use his second lease of life to become stronger, and she wanted him to be happy too. Naturally, I was elated that my story had prompted such an emotional response from one of its readers, and such a lengthy one at that. I thought about that review for days afterwards. Whenever it crossed my mind, I smiled. It was Nagiko's early support that encouraged me to keep working on Crimson Fantasia. I reworked the earlier chapters, which I had yet to publish, polishing and polishing until they shone. I began to make some changes too to the later chapters to place more of the focus back on Haru's struggles as he ventured the world of Grimoire. I posted new chapters semi-regularly and Nagiko commented on all of them. Sometimes it took her a day or 2 to leave me a mini review, but she always did it. She was as reliable as clockwork. She gave me regular feedback for months on end, 2 months on end in fact, during which I uploaded almost 50 chapters of my sprawling magnum opus. I didn't do anything during those 3 months. Beyond writing Crimson Fantasia, I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, fueled by Nagiko's praise. But this idyllic period didn't last forever. These things never do. It was in chapter 53 of Crimson Fantasia that Nagiko stopped leaving me feedback. 1 day passed, then 2, then 3, then still, Nagiko said nothing about the newest chapter. Well, I tried to tell myself these things happen, maybe she's busy. I didn't know a thing about Nagiko's life, but I knew she did have one beyond Crimson Fantasia. She could have been working night shifts. She could have been studying for exams. She could have been on holiday. I told myself to be patient and I waited. A week passed, 2 weeks passed. Eventually a month passed, but Nagiko still did not leave a comment on chapter 53 of Crimson Fantasia. I written more chapters in the interim and published them, but Nagiko did not give me feedback on any of these either. Neither did anybody else. I put a huge amount of effort into rendering the world of Crimson Fantasia, but nobody seemed to care. Not even Nagiko. For 3 months of my life I had done nothing but work on Crimson Fantasia, and to what end? It had been forgotten about. Nagiko had stopped caring about Grimoire and about Haru and about his adventures. She, who had been my most ardent, steadfast supporter, drifted away from my world and from me, and I think that realization is what broke me. I stopped caring about my characters, I stopped caring about my story, I stopped caring about myself too, which is probably why I did it. I stepped out into the middle of the road just like Haru in the first chapter of Crimson Fantasia did, and also like Haru, it was not a mistake. My actions were cold and calculated. I probably caused the driver of the car who hit me untold trauma, but I didn't care about them. I was only thinking about myself. I just wanted to escape. You wanted to be happy, right? But you can forget about that. You'll never be happy in the real world. People are thoughtless and selfish. They only ever think about themselves. They don't know how hard life is for you. Okay, so this mental creation of Nagi is definitely his own hatred for the world, keeping him in his, I guess, his own little limbo. I suspect he's actually in a coma, so he's not dead yet, but he's in a coma, and one of the reasons why he's not waking up is because he's not willing himself to wake up. He's kind of just mentally given up, and Nagi is what's keeping him down, essentially. And even if they did, they wouldn't care. Nagiko didn't care, but I do. I'm better than she is. That's why you should stay here. Nagi's fingers are gripping my throat tightly enough to burn, but her hair is, by contrast, very soft like a lover's embrace. She said that she loved me, but I still have my doubts. What is that love based on, after all? You're not Nagiko then? I'm not. No. You never did pluck up the courage to speak to her, though you really wanted to. You did fantasize about it a lot though. You wanted to talk to her, didn't you? You wanted her to be a pretty homey girl, who would support you, not just with your writing but with the rest of your life. You wanted her to cook for you and to clean for you. You didn't want her to leave you. You thought with every message that she sent you that she might, one day, fall in love with you. And that's why you created me. Aren't I your ideal woman? Isn't this what you want? I open my mouth, perhaps beginning to counter, but Nagi interrupts me. Don't try to argue with me, please. It's a waste of your breath. And that is a precious resource you can't really afford to waste. I know what it is you want. I know something. I know everything that you think. You can lie to everybody else, but you can't lie to me. What? Then that means... I stare at Nagi with such intensity my eyes threaten to escape their sockets. I can't see my own face, which is probably a blessing, but I wouldn't be surprised if my skin was beginning to turn blue. It's hard to breathe, but I still try. I need to know before I succumb to Nagi's aggressive affection. What exactly she is. Is any of this real? That depends on your definition of the word. I'm sure it feels real enough at the moment, but your judgment might not be the best. You did lose a lot of blood. Your thoughts might be all jumbled. I'm sure this has all been very confusing for you ever since you woke up. I know this world isn't quite the same as the one you're used to. Nagi's fingers are still wrapped around my throat. She hasn't relented at all. If anything, I think she might be squeezing me even harder. Is she trying to prove her love to me? If so, her love is pretty intense. But if this is a dream, why fight against it? Reality is no good, that's why you started writing stories. You couldn't cope with the world, so you had to retreat into your own. You couldn't control your own life, but you could control the lives of your characters. You never had to feel anxious or unsure when you were... Alright, quick bit of... I have to give my review now, my pseudo review now. There's too many words and it goes on for too long. It's very long-winded, that's what I'm supposed to say. I don't really want to boo-boo the author, but it does not need to be this long-winded. What could have been done was maybe say it once, and you don't need Nagi to say it all over again. You can just have it as already understood, because we already established that Nagi is created by Ayumu, right? We don't need to prove that Nagi knows what Ayumu knows, because we know she does. Unfortunately, my very big gripe is that it is very long-winded. You never had to feel anxious or unsure when you were writing because it all felt predictable. You planned everything out. You were content with that for a while, but in the end you got greedy. You wanted more than a made-up happiness. You wanted somebody to love you. You tried to endure your loneliness as best you could, yeah. So these types of things, what she's explaining is pretty much explaining what Ayumu means, and you can leave that to the player's imagination. The player will figure that out eventually, or sooner or later. You don't really need to spell it out to the player. I think that adds the kind of mystique behind your story, is that the less you explicitly explain, the more you can leave in the dark, which means the more suspense and mystery you can have. You couldn't keep going. Please make it stop. So you tried to put an end to it. It hurts too much. You tried. I can't keep enduring this. But you failed. You made a mess of things just like you make a mess of everything. Nagi, please. But that's alright, I still love you no matter how much you screw up. I love you no matter how pathetic and pitiful you are. I'll still love you while you're still clinging to life, and I'll love you even after you're dead. I'll always love you, Ayumu, like nobody else can. I don't have any choice in the matter. I was born to be in love with you. It hurts so much. I thought I already died once, so why don't you let me do that? Stay with me, Ayumu. I'll take good care of you. Nothing will ever hurt you again. All you need to do is obey me. Don't fight me. You don't want to break my heart, do you? No. Nagi. We have a knife. My vision is beginning to blur. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. It hurts. But Nagi said she was going to take care of me. If I agree to stay with her, will she let go of me? Will she make the pain go away? I don't want to hurt anyone. I'm tired of hurting. I've been hurting for such a long time and nobody noticed. Nobody cared. Nobody but Nagi. I can't abandon her, can I? First we save. Naturally. Naturally. We're running out of saves, damn it. Turn. Fight. Giving in to Nagi's demands would be the easiest option, but I don't think it's the right option. I've been doing what's easy for the last few months and it hasn't made me happy. If anything, it's only succeeded to make me feel even more miserable. I thought it'd be better if I kept away from people, but I'd be starting to doubt that. I don't want to stay indoors anymore, hiding from the world. I don't want to run away from reality. I thought I was ready to throw my life away. I was wrong. I don't want to die. I don't want to disappear. There's still a lot I want to do. I want to tell my parents how much I want to dry my mother's tears. I want to write more words too if nobody's there to read them, not even Nagika. I just can't bring myself. My voice is going hoarse as well, but I just can't. I don't want to betray my characters, so I have to keep struggling just like Haru. And it's this thought which spurs me to take an action which unlike any Haru would ever take. He's a gentleman, so he would never hurt a girl, but I have no such compunctions with Nagi, not with her fingers wound around my throat. If she's not going to play nice, I won't either. It's not like it matters that much anyway. Nagi isn't real. I made her up. She's a construct just like Haru and Eris and Harmonia, and I've put them through a lot worse. I made them suffer horribly at the sake of Crimson Fantasia's story. I can do the same thing with Nagi. I won't let her stop me. My fingers creep serendipitously around my target where the scissors are stashed. My eyes narrow with determination, and then Ayumu, what are you? I strike. There. That's what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for that in the hallway. Just before we started running. Right? I can almost swear between when we started running and this strike has been about 30 minutes of me reading. 20 to 30 minutes of me reading. I felt like all that 20 to 30 minutes could have been condensed down to a lot less time. Right? And maybe even time spent at that house or the apartment could have been condensed down as well. Just a little bit, not too much. Premise is good. Concept is good. But the bones and the ligaments and the muscle is all good, but the thing that you have created is full of fat. It's a lot of fat. And it's hard to appreciate it when all you're going through is fat before you can get down to the really juicy proper meat, the lean meat. I strike. Yes, alright. Finally. We are doing something. Something I was hoping we would have done ages ago. We're doing it. Fight! I pull the scissors from my pocket as quickly as I'm able, then thrust them upwards. The scissors plunge into Nagi's cheek, and like a banshee she shrieks. Damn! You look at that. Woohoo! I mean, look. Nagi stumbles back, one hand clasped over her face. Nagi's shoulders are convulsing. Red, sticky blood is seeping between her splayed fingers. It drips against the carpeted floor like falling rain. Drip, drip, drip. There we go. Nagi's fingers are slick with the stuff. It might as well be strawberry jam. Her face, however, is ghostly white, the same color as Flaw. Her chest rises and falls erratically beneath her blouse. Aghast, she glowers at me and says, "You'll regret this, Ayumu. How could you? How could you?" I only did what I have to do. And we became the Doom Slayer. My voice is remarkably calm, despite the adrenaline that's coursing through my body. I wipe my scissors down on my shirt, then get to my feet. I look down at Nagi, who's slumped on the ground, still bleeding, and say, "Don't act like you wouldn't have done the same to me. You were trying to choke me. I was trying to help you. Yes, I know, that's what you thought. But staying here isn't helpful. I'll never get anything done like this. You hypocrite. You were the one who shut yourself away in the first place. This is what you wanted. I wanted to make your dreams come true. Everything I did was for your sake. And this is how you repay me? How could you? I'm horribly heartless, I know, but I still don't think I owe you anything. I mean, you're not really my girlfriend, are you? You're just a phantom I created. Nagi might have taken on the form of a cute girl, but she's nothing more than a shadow. She's my shadow. Sorry, I meant well, but this? I look around the carpet floor at the flickering lights and the flashing exit sign. This isn't what I want anymore. I might have given up on my goals, my ambitions, and even my stories, but the real Nagiko is still out there. She told me she wanted to read the rest of Crimson Fantasia, so I can't disappoint her. I want to give it a satisfying conclusion for her sake. But she didn't care about you, Ayumu. Not like I do. She abandoned you. Maybe she did, it's alright though. I don't need her approval to keep writing. I don't need anybody's approval. I still want to keep going. I want to finish what I started at the very least. It means I can't let things end here. So you're gonna go back? You're gonna go back and subject yourself to being alone and to be feeling miserable in a world you can't stand to finish off some stupid story nobody cared about? Yeah, guess I am. I guess it sounds a little silly when you phrase it like that, but it's not true, you know, that nobody cares about Crimson Fantasia. Nagiko doesn't. Maybe she doesn't. I do though. I'm not so jaded that I've given up. Even if you have. I want to see how my story ends. It would be a waste not to. I let my scissors drop to the floor, then glance about. I'm breathing heavily, more so than I have in a long time. It's been a while since I've exerted myself like that. It's been a while since I've exerted myself in general. I don't often leave my apartment. Is that why I found myself trapped here in my half-formed embryonic dreamland? I came over the last few months to associate my apartment with safety. Nobody called me, visited me, not even sparingly. But we don't really even need to know that, right? It's just too much writing. I'm sorry, I'm skipping this. Didn't want to. I couldn't handle the outside world. Spawn revolt. Yeah, but we've spoken about this. Okay. Profounding chest, cheek is still oozing with blood. Flickering lights overhead. Looks black. Other times it looks bright red. Her lips, meanwhile, are pursed like princesses from a fairy tale. She looks like she's waiting for a kiss. If I bent down to grant her request, I might be able to take all of her pain away. I'm sure that she would forgive me for hurting her. She has no choice in the matter. I'm the one who created her. She is my delusion, just like Eris and Harmonia. She exists to love me, which I suppose is a nice fantasy. Can't say I dislike the thought of being doted on by a young pretty girl, whatever. There's a daydream I would do without. Here we go. It's finally time to wake up. Can we wake up though? There we go. See that? Premise was good. Style was good. Just too much fat on the body. Everyone has muscle and everyone has bones. The difference between seeing muscle and not seeing muscle is fat. Sometimes you just gotta trim a little bit of that fat. When I clicked wake up, it closed the game. I think that's cool. I think that's cool because I can't play that game again. He has chosen to leave his purgatory. And from whatever comatose he's currently in, he's decided that he's going to will himself to wake up now. He could be still on the floor, on that road. Could still be bleeding out on the road. He could be in the hospital. What matters is that he's now chosen to wake up. And whenever you try to press wake up on Girlfriend Simulator just to start the game, and the game closes, it means he's accepted his fate. It's done. And I like that. This game is good. It really is. A little bit long-winded, but apart from that, I really enjoyed it. I thoroughly did. My name is Mayhemstar, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye.